Imagine waking up, eyes open, heart pounding, but your body won't move. You're paralyzed. And then, you sense it. A shadow in the room, something watching, something sitting on your chest. This is not a dream. This is sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is a strange and terrifying experience where your mind wakes up, but your body remains frozen. You want to move, to scream, to breathe freely, but you can't. For some, it lasts seconds. For others, minutes feel like eternity. What makes it truly horrifying is what people see and feel while paralyzed. Dark figures, heavy pressure, whispers, and even the feeling of death. This is not fiction. Across the world, across cultures, and across centuries, people have reported eerily similar experiences. Let's begin with the story of 17-year-old Mia from the United Kingdom. She woke one night, unable to move. She could see her room clearly. The posters on her wall, her desk lamp, the glow from the streetlight outside, but she couldn't sit up, couldn't speak. Then she saw it. In the corner of the room, a tall black shadow with glowing red eyes. It didn't walk, it floated, and as it approached her bed, a crushing weight pressed against her chest. Mia tried to scream, to move, nothing. The shadow leaned closer and whispered her name. And then, suddenly, she woke. Her body snapped back into motion, and the shadow was gone. She described it as the most real thing she's ever felt. Mia's story is not unique. In fact, studies show that between 8% and 40% of people worldwide experience sleep paralysis at some point in their lives. Among people with anxiety, PTSD, or disrupted sleep, the numbers are even higher. Yet most never talk about it. Why? Because it feels too strange, too supernatural, and sometimes too shameful. People worry others will think they're crazy, but the stories are real, and they're everywhere. In Newfoundland, Canada, there's an old legend of the old hag. According to folklore, if you sleep on your back, the old hag may come sit on your chest, stealing your breath. It's been told for centuries. Jake, a 42-year-old man from Newfoundland, laughed off these stories, until it happened to him. He went to bed late, after a night out drinking. Around 4 a.m., he woke up. He was lying flat, eyes open, and completely paralyzed. Then he heard it, a low, crackling breathing near his ear, a whisper. Something climbed onto his chest, bony hands, sharp knees, and the unmistakable smell of rot. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. He felt like he was suffocating. The presence stayed for what felt like hours. When it vanished, he was left drenched in sweat. To this day, he swears it was the hag. In Japan, sleep paralysis is known as kanashibari, jinfuri, which translates to bound in metal. According to traditional beliefs, kanashibari occurs when a vengeful spirit traps your body as punishment or revenge. Yuki, a university student in Tokyo, shared her recurring episodes of kanashibari. She said it always began the same way, late at night while she was sleeping face up. Suddenly, she would wake up, but couldn't move. A black figure would appear at the foot of her bed, staring. It never said anything, but each night, it got closer. One night, it touched her ankle. She screamed, but again, only in her mind. The black figure vanished just as suddenly as it appeared. Yuki now sleeps only with the light on and music playing. Kanashibari is so common in Japan that there are horror films, manga, and even traditional remedies around it. Many might say, it's just a nightmare. But those who've experienced sleep paralysis insist it's not the same. In a nightmare, your mind is unaware that you're dreaming. But in sleep paralysis, people often feel fully awake. They can see their rooms, hear sounds outside, and even feel the temperature of the air. But something is deeply wrong. The body is lifeless, and something else is there. One of the most common and terrifying features of sleep paralysis is the appearance of shadow people. These dark, human-shaped silhouettes often appear in the corners of the room, doorways, or standing right beside the bed. Some have glowing eyes, some move, some just watch. In many cultures, they're believed to be spirits, demons, or even interdimensional beings. In modern internet lore, they've become their own category of paranormal entity. But why are they seen so consistently? Why do people all over the world, who've never spoken to one another, describe the same thing? Let's take a brief journey across the globe and see how widespread this phenomenon is. In Nigeria, the Yoruba call it ogun oru, a spiritual attack during sleep. In Egypt, people believe it's the work of evil jinns. In South Asia, many say it's caused by black magic or angry spirits. In Scandinavia, sleep paralysis is linked to mare, a malicious spirit that rides your chest. In Brazil, it's called the pisadeira, a crone who stomps on the chest of sleepers. From ancient Mesopotamia to modern Los Angeles, the symptoms are nearly identical. Paralysis, a sense of terror, a heavy presence, and the vision of something evil. Coincidence? Or something deeper? Priya, a 35-year-old woman from India, began experiencing sleep paralysis after the death of her father. She blamed it on stress, but then it started getting stranger. At night, she would feel hands choking her, hear her name whispered. One time, she saw her father standing in the corner, weeping blood. She thought she was going mad, but when she told her grandmother, the old woman simply nodded and said, "You are not mad, this is when the veil is thin." In many Eastern traditions, it's believed that sleep paralysis occurs when the barrier between worlds is weakest, allowing spirits, memories, and emotions to manifest physically. Some scientists suggest that sleep paralysis might feel like a near-death experience because the body is in such a vulnerable, powerless state. People have reported floating above their bodies, feeling like they're being pulled out of their skin, or even seeing their own faces lying in bed. These out-of-body sensations further blur the line between sleep paralysis and spiritual experience. Is the mind merely playing tricks? Or are we glimpsing something more? Carlos from Argentina experienced sleep paralysis weekly during his teenage years. He called himself the silent screamer. Each episode started with a loud buzzing in his ears, like static. Then he would wake, unable to move. A cloaked figure would appear by his bed, leaning closer each night. Eventually, the shadow figure sat on his chest and began pressing harder and harder until he blacked out. One time, his mother said she heard him gasping, came to his room, and saw nothing wrong. But Carlos remembers clearly, the figure was still there, watching her from behind. After that night, he started sleeping with a rosary and never had another attack. Some say sleep paralysis is the brain misfiring, a natural but terrifying side effect of sleep cycles. Others believe it's a spiritual event, a sign of dark forces or gateways to the beyond. But whatever it is, it feels real, and it leaves people shaken for days. Long before science gave us brain scans and sleep labs, people turned to gods, demons, and spirits to explain the terrifying experience of sleep paralysis. Across every culture and continent, the same story repeats, of a force in the night that binds the body and visits the soul. Before modern science explained sleep stages, REM cycles, and neural chemistry, people interpreted sleep paralysis through a spiritual or religious lens. They believed it was a form of possession, divine punishment, or a sign from the afterlife. Sleep paralysis is one of the most universal human experiences, yet it's been interpreted in radically different ways. In this episode, we travel across time and cultures to uncover how ancient peoples, and even many today, understand this night-bound terror. We begin with one of the oldest civilizations, ancient Mesopotamia. In Mesopotamian texts, dating back over 4,000 years, we find references to sleep demons and spiritual attacks during the night. One such entity was Lamashtu, a female demon said to attack pregnant women and children during sleep. Another was Alu, a spirit that would press on the chest of sleepers and leave them gasping for air. These weren't just myths. They were part of the medical understanding of the time. Priests would prescribe rituals, prayers, and protective amulets to prevent such attacks. The demon sits upon him, and he cannot speak. From a Sumerian tablet, describing a classic sleep paralysis event. In ancient Egyptian belief, the soul, Ba, left the body during sleep and returned before waking. If something interfered with that process, such as a spirit, god, or curse, it could leave the sleeper frozen between realms. The concept of jinn, later expanded in Islamic tradition, began here as elemental beings that could possess or paralyze humans. Egyptians used incense, ritual chants, and sacred symbols to protect the sleeping body. Priests of Osiris believed some souls were punished in dreams for the sins they had committed in waking life. The inability to move might have been seen as a form of temporary spiritual imprisonment. In ancient Greece, sleep paralysis was often interpreted as the work of Oneros, the god of dreams. But when it turned dark, it was the incubus or succubus, demonic figures who visited humans at night. Incubus, a male demon who assaults women during their sleep. Succubus, a female demon who seduces or attacks men. The Roman word for nightmare, incubare, literally means to lie upon, describing the classic sleep paralysis sensation. Pliny the Elder wrote of people waking unable to breathe, often linking the experience with the presence of the dead or divine warnings. In Christian Europe, especially during the Middle Ages, sleep paralysis was attributed to demonic activity. People believed it was the devil himself, or one of his servants sitting on the sleeper's chest. One of the most enduring figures is the Old Hag. Originating in Celtic and English folklore, she is said to be a witch who visits sleepers at night, paralyzing them and riding their chests. Even today, in Newfoundland, Canada, sleep paralysis is referred to as being hag-ridden. Paintings from the 1700s, such as Henry Fuseli's The Nightmare, show a demon squatting on a woman's chest while a shadowy horse watches from behind. The imagery is unmistakable: terror, paralysis, and the supernatural. In Puritan societies, victims of sleep paralysis were sometimes accused of being possessed. Some were even believed to be witches themselves, causing their own unnatural sleep states. When one awaketh and feeleth bound, and seeth not what strangleth them, this is the work of Satan. Not all religious interpretations were negative. Some Christian mystics believed sleep paralysis was a spiritual test or a state of divine visitation. Saints reported visions during these paralyzed moments, sometimes seeing angels, other times being tempted by dark forces. Sleep paralysis was viewed as a battleground between the soul and evil, testing faith, purity, and resistance. In Islamic tradition, sleep paralysis is often attributed to the jinn, supernatural beings created from smokeless fire, who exist in a world parallel to ours. According to the Quran, jinn can be good or evil, but when sleep paralysis strikes, it is usually seen as the work of evil jinn. Victims report hearing their names whispered, feeling suffocated, or seeing dark shadows in the room, classic signs of a jinn encounter. Islamic teachings offer specific prayers, Ayat al-Kursi, and surahs for protection. Some people keep the Quran near their bed, while others seek help from imams or ruqya healers who perform spiritual cleansing. Sleep paralysis is called kabus or kabus in many Arabic-speaking cultures, meaning the thing that sits on your chest. In Hindu beliefs, sleep paralysis is often connected to the subtle body and karma. Some yogic traditions believe the soul leaves the body during sleep, similar to ancient Egypt. If the return is interrupted by spirits, karma, or psychic energy, the body may remain paralyzed. Victims often report seeing deceased relatives, ghosts, or dark beings standing over them. In some villages, it's believed that wandering souls attach to people and ride them during the night. Others interpret sleep paralysis as a sign of unfinished karma, with the soul receiving messages or punishments in the astral plane. There are also rituals to cleanse the body, such as using turmeric, neem, and mantras to ward off negative energy. In Tantra, the terrifying figures seen during paralysis are sometimes viewed as manifestations of the inner self, fears, desires, and ego taking shape. Facing them is considered a step toward enlightenment. But to the uninitiated, these demons appear as literal forces, and the experience becomes terrifying. The Japanese term kanashibari literally means bound by metal. It's used to describe sleep paralysis and has deep cultural roots. According to Japanese folklore, angry spirits can trap a sleeper's body, especially if they died a violent or unjust death. Ghost stories, horror films, and anime often include scenes of sleep paralysis caused by vengeful spirits. In Shinto beliefs, objects and places may also possess spirits. If you sleep near a shrine, grave, or cursed item, you might become vulnerable. Rituals to protect against kanashibari include sleeping with salt under the pillow, hanging paper talismans, visiting a priest or shrine for purification. In Brazilian folklore, pisadeira is an old woman with long fingernails who walks on the chests of those who overeat and sleep on their backs. She is both a moral warning and a sleep demon, mixing health advice with fear. Among the Yoruba, sleep paralysis is called ogun oru, considered a spiritual attack by witches or jealous people. Victims often report feeling cursed and may seek help from traditional healers. In rural India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, sleep paralysis is often blamed on jadoo tona, black magic. People believe someone with evil intentions has spiritually attacked them. Symptoms include seeing red eyes, hearing voices, or being choked. Remedies often include wearing amulets, reciting verses, or seeing a Sufi or sadhu for protection. In the United States, some interpret sleep paralysis through alien abduction narratives. Victims feel paralyzed, see bright lights, and encounter beings. Others believe it's linked to haunted houses or spiritual energy. Paranormal investigators sometimes treat these cases like ghost encounters. Devices like EMF readers, night vision cameras, and Ouija boards are used. Here are some of the most common ways cultures attempt to protect against sleep paralysis. Islam reciting Ayat al-Kursi, Ruqya Christianity prayers before sleep, holy water Hinduism mantras, Tulsi plant near bed Japan, salt under pillow, paper charms, Africa charms, ancestral offerings, Brazil eating light before bed, protective candles. Some modern sufferers even combine scientific advice with spiritual protection, like sleeping on their side, avoiding stress and keeping holy items nearby. Many people today live with both science and religion. They may understand sleep paralysis as a REM sleep disorder, but still believe in spiritual causes. This is especially true in communities where both ancestral wisdom and modern psychology coexist. And in some cases, science cannot explain the timing, the accuracy, or the terror of what people see. How can the mind create the same shadow figures seen by people in every part of the world? Why do some people feel targeted, watched, even marked? These questions leave room for mystery, even in a scientific world. Skeptics argue that all of this is neurology plus culture. The paralysis comes from a glitch in REM sleep. The hallucinations are influenced by religious beliefs, and the fear makes the images stronger. But believers say, how can millions of people in every culture across every generation experience the same visions if it's just imagination? What if sleep paralysis is a window, a glimpse into the spiritual world we ignore during the day? Sleep paralysis lies at the intersection of science, religion, and personal experience. For some, it's a brain disorder. For others, it's a sign of spiritual attack or awakening. But no matter what you believe, when the night is dark and your body won't move and something begins to creep closer, you will remember. And maybe, just maybe, you'll understand a little better what people across time have always feared: the spirits that visit in the night. In a quiet lab, surrounded by the hum of sophisticated machinery, a glowing brain scan pulsates with light. It reveals a storm of electrical activity, a complex network firing in unison, a window into the sleeping mind. This is the mind in sleep, a realm of dreams and subconscious processing, where the boundaries of reality blur and the impossible becomes commonplace. Neurons fire in intricate patterns, creating the rich tapestry of our nocturnal experiences. The heart beats steadily, a constant rhythm of life, but suddenly, both brain and heart rhythms spike. An unexpected surge of activity disrupts the peaceful slumber. The sleeper is awake, eyes open, aware of their surroundings, but cannot move a muscle. A terrifying realization dawns as the body remains unresponsive. This is sleep paralysis, a chilling phenomenon that blurs the lines between the conscious and unconscious. A state between worlds, where the mind is alert, racing with thoughts and perceptions, but the body is locked in sleep, unable to execute commands. It's a disconcerting experience, a feeling of being trapped within your own physical form. You see your room, the familiar objects taking on a strange and unsettling quality in the darkness. You hear the night, the rustling of leaves, the distant hum of traffic, each sound amplified and distorted by the heightened state of awareness. You feel the blankets, the weight of the covers, the texture against your skin, a stark reminder of your physical presence, even as your body refuses to obey. But your body won't respond, no matter how hard you try to move a finger, twitch a toe, or even open your mouth to call for help. It's a profound disconnection, a sense of being trapped within yourself, a prisoner in your own body. The feeling of helplessness can be overwhelming. Shadows seem to shift and dance in the periphery. Ordinary sounds become ominous whispers in the darkness. The mind begins to play tricks, amplifying anxieties and fears. The mind, desperate for answers and struggling to make sense of the experience, often imagines an external force holding it down, a malevolent presence lurking in the shadows. This isn't cowardice. It's a predictable neurological response, a natural consequence of the brain's attempt to interpret a bizarre and frightening situation. To understand sleep paralysis, to unravel its mysteries and dispel its terrors, we must explore the delicate dance between wakefulness and sleep, the intricate mechanisms that govern our nocturnal existence. The truth isn't supernatural, a haunting by unseen entities, but biological, a complex interplay of physiological processes, a story of neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers of the brain, of disrupted sleep cycles, and the brain's protective systems designed to keep us safe during our slumber. Sometimes, these systems falter, misfire, creating moments of waking terror, episodes of sleep paralysis that can leave a lasting impression. Sleep paralysis is a universal phenomenon, experienced across cultures and throughout history, rooted in the very mechanics of our sleep, a testament to the shared human experience. Let's journey into the architecture of the mind, exploring the intricate pathways and hidden chambers of the brain. To uncover why this happens, to shed light on the biological basis of sleep paralysis, and to understand how we can navigate this unsettling experience. Before science, people explained sleep paralysis with tales of demons and spirits. In Europe, it was the incubus. In Scandinavia, the mare. In Japan, kanashibari. In Newfoundland, the old hag. These myths all describe the same sensation, being held down by a malevolent force. For centuries, these stories were the only explanation. Only with modern sleep science and EEGs did we discover the real cause, the brain's natural muscle paralysis during REM sleep. The demon is an internal process, not an external entity. Science replaced superstition, revealing sleep paralysis as a fascinating glitch in our sleep machinery. Understanding this strips away the supernatural dread and empowers us with knowledge. Sleep isn't just unconsciousness. It's a complex journey through distinct stages. We cycle between non-REM and REM sleep every 90 minutes. Non-REM has 3 stages: light sleep, deeper sleep, and slow-wave sleep, the most restorative phase. After deep sleep, we enter REM, the stage of vivid dreams and intense brain activity. During REM, our bodies are paralyzed, preventing us from acting out dreams. This cycle repeats, with more REM as morning nears. The transitions between these stages are usually seamless, but when the timing falters, especially at the edge of REM, sleep paralysis can occur. It's a direct result of our intricate sleep rhythms slipping out of sync. Understanding these stages is key to understanding sleep paralysis. REM atonia, total muscle paralysis during REM sleep, is one of the most fascinating and crucial aspects of our sleep cycle. It's a state where our bodies are effectively switched off in terms of voluntary movement, even though our minds are often vividly active in the dream world. This isn't a malfunction or a flaw, it's a vital safety feature, a protective mechanism hardwired into our brains. It keeps us from physically acting out our dreams, preventing us from potentially harming ourselves or others. Imagine the chaos if we were to fully embody our dream adventures. Without REM atonia, our sleep could become a dangerous and unpredictable affair. The magic behind this paralysis lies within the brainstem, specifically the pons. This area acts like a control center, sending signals that effectively shut down the motor neurons responsible for muscle movement. It's as if the brainstem is carefully disconnecting the mind from the muscle, ensuring that our dream actions remain confined to the realm of our imagination. While voluntary muscles are temporarily paralyzed, it's important to note that essential functions like breathing and heart muscle activity continue to work seamlessly. Our bodies are kept alive and ticking, even as we dream. This immobilization is further reinforced by neurotransmitters like GABA and glycine, which flood the spinal cord, acting as powerful inhibitors. They effectively lock down movement, ensuring that our bodies remain still and quiet throughout the REM stage of sleep. This intricate system works reliably night after night, providing us with a safe and restful sleep, protecting us from the potential dangers of acting out our dreams. However, there are instances when this carefully orchestrated process can go awry. If the mind awakens before the paralysis fully lifts, a strange and unsettling phenomenon can occur. You're left conscious, fully aware of your surroundings, but completely immobile, trapped within your own body. That's the essence of sleep paralysis. A mind wide awake and alert, trapped in a body still locked down by the mechanisms of REM atonia. The system is undeniably elegant in its design, but its precise timing isn't always perfect. There can be occasional hiccups in the synchronization between mind and body, and when it fails, even momentarily, the result can be a terrifying and disorienting experience, a temporary disconnect between our conscious awareness and our physical form. This is the fundamental biological root of sleep paralysis, a glimpse into the complex interplay between our brain and body during sleep. It's not a sign of anything supernatural or paranormal, just a relatively common glitch in what is normally a remarkably flawless and essential process. Sleep paralysis is a glitch in the transition between sleep and wakefulness. It happens when your mind wakes up, but your body remains paralyzed by REM atonia. Imagine two switches, one for consciousness, one for movement. Normally they flip together. In sleep paralysis, the mind switch flips first, leaving you aware but unable to move. You may feel pressure on your chest, struggle to breathe, and experience intense helplessness. The episode can last seconds or minutes, feeling like an eternity. Sometimes a small movement, like a twitch, breaks the spell. Other times the paralysis fades as the brain fully wakes or slips back into sleep. The mind's desperate attempts to move are blocked at the spinal cord. This is the central paradox, a fully awake mind trapped in a sleeping body. It's a terrifying but temporary state. The terror of sleep paralysis isn't just psychological. It's hardwired in the brain. The amygdala, our fear center, is hyperactive during REM and sleep paralysis. When you wake paralyzed, the amygdala interprets it as a threat, flooding you with fear. Heart races, breathing quickens, and panic sets in. A full fight or flight response, but you can't move. The rational part of your brain is still suppressed, so logic can't calm you. This creates a feedback loop. Fear triggers physical symptoms, which amplify the terror. You're not just scared, you're biologically hijacked by your own brain. This is why sleep paralysis feels so overwhelmingly real and terrifying. Sleep paralysis often brings vivid, terrifying hallucinations. The mind, caught between dreaming and waking, projects dream imagery onto the real world. Hallucinations fall into three types: intruder, incubus, and vestibular motor. Intruder, the sense of a menacing presence, shadows, footsteps, figures. Incubus, pressure on the chest, difficulty breathing, the feeling of being attacked. Vestibular motor, sensations of floating or movement. The brain tries to explain the paralysis and fear by inventing threats. Cultural beliefs shape the details. Spirits in Japan, witches in Newfoundland. These hallucinations are the brain's attempt to make sense of a bizarre state. They're not random. They're stories built from fear and confusion. Some experience out-of-body sensations during sleep paralysis, floating, flying, or watching themselves from above. This happens when the brain's vestibular system, which controls balance and motion, becomes active while the body is paralyzed. The brain receives no movement feedback, so it creates the illusion of leaving the body. The temporoparietal junction, which integrates our sense of self, is disrupted. The result, a powerful, convincing sense of disembodiment. It's not a soul leaving the body, but the brain's creative way of resolving sensory conflict. This highlights how our sense of reality is constructed and how easily it can be altered. Sleep paralysis can be a frightening experience, characterized by the feeling of being conscious but unable to move. It can be accompanied by vivid hallucinations and a sense of dread. But remember, sleep paralysis is generally harmless. And the good news is, you can significantly reduce its frequency by adopting some simple yet effective strategies. First, and perhaps most importantly, keep a consistent sleep schedule. This means going to bed and waking up at the same time daily, even on weekends. This helps regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle, also known as your circadian rhythm. Second, optimize your sleep environment to make it as conducive to restful sleep as possible. Make sure your bedroom is dark, quiet, and cool. Consider using blackout curtains, earplugs, or a white noise machine to minimize distractions. Third, avoid sleeping on your back. Side or stomach positions are generally better, as sleeping on your back can increase the likelihood of experiencing sleep paralysis. Fourth, manage stress effectively. High levels of stress can disrupt sleep and increase the risk of sleep paralysis. Incorporate relaxation techniques into your daily routine, such as meditation, deep breathing exercises, or reading a calming book before bed. Fifth, avoid caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol, especially close to bedtime. These substances can interfere with your sleep cycles, making you more prone to sleep disturbances, including sleep paralysis. Sixth, and crucially, get enough sleep. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep nightly. These steps, when consistently applied, help stabilize your sleep cycles, promote deeper, more restful sleep, and significantly reduce the risk of sleep paralysis episodes. If episodes persist despite these measures, or if they are causing you significant distress, it's important to consult a sleep specialist for further evaluation and guidance. Understanding the science behind sleep paralysis, knowing what triggers it and how to manage it, empowers you to take control of your sleep and your well-being. With consistent good sleep hygiene practices, most people can reclaim peaceful nights and minimize the impact of sleep paralysis on their lives. Remember, sleep paralysis is a glitch in the sleep-wake transition, not a threat to your health or safety. Knowledge about sleep paralysis and consistent healthy sleep habits are your best defense against it. So, prioritize your sleep, create a relaxing bedtime routine, sleep well, and let your mind and body rest in harmony, night after night. The science behind the fear. As the night deepens and your body drifts into stillness, a strange divide begins to open between the mind and the body. You're awake, but you can't move. Tonight, we leave behind folklore and step into the realm of science. What really causes sleep paralysis? Why does the brain wake up before the body? And what secrets do neurologists and sleep researchers uncover in the lab that mirror the terrors we feel in the dark? Join us as we explore what science has to say about the shadows that haunt our sleep. The first time it happens, you hope it's a one-off nightmare. But for many, sleep paralysis returns again and again. The terror isn't just in the experience, it's in the anticipation. The bed, once a sanctuary, becomes a stage for horror. Every yawn, every heavy eyelid is a warning sign. You start to fear the very thing your body needs most: rest. The more you worry, the more exhausted you become, and the more likely it is to happen again. It's a vicious cycle. Fear breeds sleeplessness, which breeds more fear. The dread seeps into your days, making the world feel less safe. Elaborate routines emerge, staying up late, leaving lights on, anything to avoid sleep. You fight your own biology, night after night. The bed is no longer a friend. The darkness is no longer peaceful. Sleep itself becomes the enemy. The terror of sleep paralysis is often magnified by isolation. In many cultures, it's seen not as a medical issue, but as a supernatural attack. A curse, a haunting, a sign of spiritual weakness. Admitting to it can feel like confessing to a failing, inviting blame or suspicion. Sufferers are told to pray harder, cleanse their homes, or simply stop inviting darkness. The result? Silence, shame. A lonely prison where fear grows unchecked. People hide their experiences, afraid of being labeled mad or tainted. They endure the horror alone, denied the comfort of knowing others share their struggle. The cultural stigma ensures the suffering remains private, hidden, and magnified by loneliness. We delve now into the lives of those touched by sleep paralysis, a condition that extends far beyond mere physical stillness. These are stories of individuals grappling with a terrifying intersection of the physical and psychological. Maria, a young mother, began experiencing sleep paralysis shortly after the birth of her second child. The joy of motherhood soon became intertwined with nightly terrors. Utterly exhausted from caring for two young children, she'd wake frozen, trapped within her own body. She was haunted by phantom cries that weren't really there, and chilling visions of unseen dangers threatening her children, dangers she was powerless to prevent. The helplessness was pure agony, a mother's primal instinct to protect her child thwarted by this strange, inexplicable condition. Each episode left her feeling more vulnerable and afraid. Ben, a university student, already burdened by academic pressures, began to see a shadowy, menacing figure lurking in his room during these terrifying episodes. The figure seemed to grow closer each night, feeding his fear. The intense fear from these encounters bled insidiously into his waking life. He became increasingly anxious and paranoid. Desperate to avoid the night terrors, he began avoiding sleep altogether, leading to a downward spiral where his grades plummeted and his friendships suffered from his withdrawal. When he tried to explain the horrors he was experiencing, his friends dismissed it as stress or nightmares, unable to grasp the true terror of sleep paralysis. Feeling isolated and misunderstood, he chose silence, battling the shadow alone, convinced that no one could truly understand. David, a military veteran haunted by his past, found himself reliving the most horrific moments of combat trauma during his paralysis episodes, trapped in vivid, inescapable memories, completely unable to move or escape the horrors. For him, sleep paralysis became a cruel extension of his existing PTSD, adding another layer of torment to the already heavy burden he carried, a burden he felt he couldn't share with anyone. Each story reveals a unique facet of the suffering caused by sleep paralysis: the raw primal terror of a mother unable to protect her children, the crushing weight of social isolation and the feeling of being utterly alone, and the agonizing re-traumatization of past horrors. Different lives, seemingly disparate, yet united by the invisible chains of sleep paralysis and the silent screams trapped within their minds. Their suffering is not merely physical, it's a profound emotional and psychological burden, a deep, isolating experience that leaves lasting scars. The wounds inflicted by these nightly terrors linger long after the morning light breaks, casting a shadow over their waking hours. These are not just stories of temporary immobility, but of profound emotional scars that can take years to heal, if they ever truly do. Silence isn't a choice, it's a defense. After disbelief or unhelpful advice, sufferers build walls around their ordeal. By day, they play their roles. By night, they descend into terror, alone. This double life breeds alienation, a sense of acting through the motions. The fear becomes a constant companion, shadowing even the brightest moments. Hypervigilance sets in, scanning the room, dreading the dark. The anxiety seeps into every part of life, eroding any sense of safety. Without validation, self-doubt grows. Am I going crazy? Is this real? The rational mind knows it's a disorder, but the heart feels haunted. The true burden is not just the paralysis, but the loneliness that follows. Speaking up about sleep paralysis can be more painful than the episodes themselves. Disbelief is common. You were just dreaming, or it's just stress. For the sufferer, this feels like a deep invalidation. When family and friends dismiss or judge, it's a betrayal. Some are told it's a spiritual failing, adding guilt and shame to fear. The result is retreat. Relationships suffer, silence grows. The lack of understanding worsens anxiety and depression. The message is clear. Your fear isn't real. Your suffering is your fault. This toxic silence allows the terror to fester, growing stronger in the dark. The wound is not just in the night, but in the world's refusal to listen. Yet for every story of fear, for every chilling account of helplessness, there is a glimmer of hope, a beacon in the darkness. It's a reminder that even in the face of the most terrifying experiences, resilience can emerge. Healing often begins with a name: sleep paralysis. It's about identifying the enemy, understanding its nature, and recognizing that you're not alone in this battle. Naming the beast strips it of some power, making it understandable, less monstrous. It transforms the unknown into something tangible, something you can research, learn about, and ultimately confront. Knowledge leads to action. It empowers you to take control of your experience. This could involve establishing better sleep routines, creating a consistent and calming pre-sleep environment. Incorporating calming rituals into your evening, like reading or gentle stretching, can signal to your body that it's time to rest. Creating a sanctuary free from screens and clutter, a space dedicated to relaxation and peace. These steps aren't magic, a guaranteed cure, but they offer control, a sense of agency in a situation that often feels utterly uncontrollable. During paralysis, some learn to focus on moving a toe or finger, a tiny flicker of defiance against the immobility, anchoring themselves to reality, reminding themselves of their physical presence in the world. Others remind themselves, this will pass, it isn't real, using self-talk to combat the fear and disorientation. Some confront hallucinations with curiosity, not fear, viewing them as strange phenomena rather than terrifying threats. The shift from victim to participant reduces terror, transforming a passive experience into an active engagement. Coping is personal, a unique journey for each individual. Exploring coping mechanisms like journaling, mindfulness exercises, or the practice of meditation. The key is moving from passive suffering to active management, from feeling helpless to taking proactive steps to improve your experience. You may not eliminate it entirely, but you can change your relationship with it, diminishing its power over you. Navigating the shadows, learning to walk through them confidently, not being consumed by them, is the first step to reclaiming peace, to finding moments of tranquility amidst the chaos. Each small victory, each successful coping mechanism, is a step toward taking back the night, reclaiming your sleep, and restoring your sense of well-being. The journey is about finding power, one peaceful night at a time, empowering yourself to face the darkness and emerge stronger on the other side. Healing rarely happens alone. Many find strength in faith, not as punishment, but as a source of comfort and ritual. Science offers understanding. Sleep paralysis is a neurological event, not a curse. Therapy, especially CBT, helps reframe fearful thoughts and manage anxiety. The internet connects sufferers worldwide. No one has to be silent anymore. Online communities offer validation, support, and shared strategies. Faith soothes the soul, science calms the mind, and community heals the heart. Together they build a foundation for recovery. The bed becomes a sanctuary again, not a battleground. In connection, sufferers find hope and strength. The journey through sleep paralysis is harrowing, but it can lead to transformation. Facing nightly terror forges resilience and self-understanding. Survivors emerge with a quiet confidence. Having faced their worst fears, daily anxieties seem smaller. The experience fosters empathy. Those who've suffered become powerful supporters for others. Healing is found in connection, in validating another's struggle. Sleep paralysis is not a gift, but meaning can be found in surviving it. The journey is a testament to human resilience and the search for peace. Even in darkness, we can find light. We are stronger than our fears. The path through terror can, unexpectedly, lead to lasting triumph. So as you go to sleep tonight, if the paralysis returns, if the presence visits, don't fight, observe, listen, and remember, you are not at its mercy, you are on a threshold. The most powerful tool you have is awareness, and now, you have it. This was Brain and Beyond. Thank you for watching. Thank you for seeking. Sleep deeply, dream wisely, and if the shadows come again, smile, because this time, you understand. As we reach the end of this journey into the shadowed corners of the night, pause for a moment. Let the silence surround you. Let the thoughts settle. Let your mind drift between what you've just seen and what lies beyond. Because this wasn't just a video. It was an exploration of fear, of mystery, of you. And now, it's time to reflect. What you've learned. You've uncovered that sleep paralysis is more than a medical phenomenon. It's a bridge between science and spirituality, fear and insight, dream and waking. We explored the neuroscience behind sleep paralysis, how your brain enters REM sleep, paralyzing the body to protect it during dreams. How REM intrusion causes you to awaken while still paralyzed. How the amygdala floods the brain with fear, while logic remains quiet. You've discovered the psychological and emotional roots. How trauma, stress, and anxiety increase the chances of paralysis. How your subconscious fears create vivid hallucinations, often shaped like demons, shadows, or old hags. We looked into the mythologies and cultural interpretations, from the old hag of Newfoundland, to the Kanashibari of Japan, to the jinns, witches, and spirit demons found in every corner of human folklore. You learned how ancient traditions viewed sleep paralysis as a spiritual event, a visitation, a test, a lesson, and we didn't stop there. You were introduced to the idea that sleep paralysis could be a gateway, a portal to lucid dreaming, out-of-body experiences, astral travel, and even encounters with beings from other realms. You heard about the vibrational state, the feeling of being pulled out of your body, and the possibility that your consciousness can detach and explore. And you heard real stories from people around the world who've lived it. You faced the fear. You stood with the shadow. And now, you know more than most ever will. What happens next is up to you. So the next time you wake in the dark, unable to move, the next time your chest feels heavy, and a presence lingers at the edge of the bed, remember what you've learned. You are not dying. You are not cursed. You are crossing over, even if just for a moment, into something far deeper than dreams. And in that moment, you have a choice. Let fear take over, or breathe deeply, and step through. We want to hear from you. What has this video meant to you? Have you experienced sleep paralysis? Did you feel a presence, see a shadow, leave your body? Was it terrifying? Or was it enlightening? Leave a comment below. Your story matters, and your voice may help someone else who thinks they're alone, because they're not. You are not. If this journey gave you chills, insights, or comfort, let us know. Like this video to show you value the unseen, the unspoken, the edge between logic and mystery. Subscribe to Brain and Beyond if you want more than surface-level answers. Here, we go deeper, into the mind, into myth, into the dark, and out again. Tap the bell icon to be notified the moment a new reality opens up. We're working on more videos about lucid dreaming, false awakenings, dream time distortion, shadow people, and consciousness beyond the brain. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Suggest our next mystery. Do you want to explore the science of astral projection? Or understand how memory hijacks dreams? Want to know if people can meet in shared dreams? Or if time travel is possible while sleeping? Comment your topic. Your question could inspire our next deep dive. Together, we're not just watching videos, we're building a community of seekers. For those who stayed till the end, you are not just a viewer, you are a seeker between worlds. Comment the phrase, "I see the shadow, I am the light" below. It lets us know you stayed, you listened, you felt it. You are one of the dreamwalkers now. And we'll look for your name in every upload. Final thoughts: sleep well, dream freely.